We store time and memories inside of objects. Symbolically, of course. Memorials, remembrances, sentiments. When dealing with death, some choose to plant a tree as a memorial, creating new life in a way, and through that life, remembrance. A memory container, if you will. Roots that connect to the past and hopefully to the future. It's the best we can do. But these memorials are what I'll call active sentimentality, meaning we choose to endow an object, like a carved gravestone, with memory and emotion. But far more often in our lives, we passively create sentimental objects, pieces we've picked up along the way that remind us of people and times. The engagement ring your then boyfriend presented in an awkward bent-knee speech by the lake. The smell that miraculously lingers on your blanket, for weeks even, after you've moved out from the old house. The song that takes you back to that one night driving with the windows down with, well, you know who. We all have sentimental objects that remind us of those stories. Passive, unintentional memorials built over time, transporting us and filling us with warm nostalgia. That's what we want, anyway. That's the bright side of sentimental objects. But there's another side, one that is more haunting and relentlessly cruel. The pain of heartbreak, the loose ends of words left unsaid, the haunting trauma that still digs and burns to this day. Instead of giving us warmth, these things now take, leaving us colder. Today I'm helping my mom clear out some old stuff from her garage. Shelves of things she's collected over the years, things we're now donating to the local thrift shop. We spent some time this morning going through the shelves, deciding which objects should be kept and which should be donated, or trashed if need be. Usually it comes down to predicting if the item had future utility, but sometimes the decision-making process is a little less cerebral, like what to do with my mom's art supplies that have sat at the back of the shelf, unseen and unused for decades. Art tools she used with her own hands that created much of the artwork our family often hangs on the wall. We've decided to hang on to the tools a little longer. Useful supplies? Not really. Meaningful? Very much so. I've brought some items of my own, like this coffee maker. This Hamilton Beach coffee maker lasted about 4 years, possibly our longest running coffee maker. Amy and I bought it in Utah. It's not a bad coffee maker, with daily use if not more by Amy and myself. I think you can make iced coffee, or cold coffee, by loading up the container with ice. I can't remember if we ever tried that, but it did sound interesting. At any rate, without fail, we'd often have a pot of hot coffee going in the morning. Like a lot of people, it was a bit of a morning ritual. I was always intrigued and surprised by how Amy took her coffee. Black. Straight, brutal black. I was the one with additives, creamer, sugar. I mostly skip the sugar these days, but it still feels like I'm defiling the purity of what coffee is supposed to be. And like her coffee, it's who she was. Strong, cultured, real. If she was the strict disciplinarian, I was her complement on the other side. A softie, really. We saw the world in different ways, but we were both nonetheless grateful for each other. Grateful, she penned in her anniversary letter, for having fresh perspective by my side. Her writing always seemed so rich and cultured to me. In that same letter, the last she would write to me, she thanked me for my gentleness. I think I admired her boldness and grit more, though. I'm not sure if I ever told her that at the time. Our morning coffee may have been worlds apart, but it worked, and we were a good team. For years, Amy and I had matching pillows. They were unique, I thought. The kind that were firm and curved and held your head in a certain way. We took them with us when we traveled. Amy picked them out years ago, and I was impressed by her unique choice in bedding. Even after she moved states away to be with her romantic interest, I still slept on that same pillow. Not for any symbolic or romantic purpose or anything, I just genuinely liked the pillow. It was always jarring, however, to see the new reality. Instead of 2 pillows on the bed, just 1 remained. It was mine, alone, and time passed. I didn't think too heavily about it most nights, but some nights I thought about it. I would look at my pillow and remember. I'd sleep and dream of things that were no more. These pillows witnessed a very interesting portion of our lives. Laughter, love, tears, joy, peaceful sleep and anxious evenings, countless movie nights, planning nights, work nights, desserts, dinners, breakfasts, and maybe a glass of wine if we were feeling particularly grown up. Pregnancies, sicknesses, so much. Too many angry words though, arguments. Long and debilitating verbal sparring that, in hindsight, seemed silly and unnecessary. But we were shouldering many things deep in the remote desert of southern Utah. I can see the pressure we were under now. But for a long time we swore by the proverb, "Let not the sun go down on your wrath." And so through the night we'd try to untangle life's big questions until one of us would invariably say something we'd regret and promptly apologize for during breakfast the next morning. Even the best of us say things we don't really mean when the hours wear on, when the night grows heavy, and our foreheads strain to keep our eyes just half open. You know, maybe we shouldn't have been debating in a dark room while horizontal on these pillows. And so one year, amidst a 3 a.m. stalemate, I said, "You know, we'll still love each other in the morning." We paused for a moment. Silence. "You're right," Amy sighed. So we stopped and we slept. We'd deploy that sentiment a few more times when the evening carried on too late and we, like responsible adults, remembered our need to be coherent and conscious for the morning's inevitable workload. There would be time the next day, we figured, to reconvene and resurrect whatever it was we felt was so important to continue onion skinning into oblivion. By the next day, however, the topic du jour had typically cooled down. Some mornings we just apologized to each other and that was that. I don't know of many objects that witness as much life as pillows do. But time continued to pass since those weary nights and my fancy new pillow grew old. The marvel of head support it once offered has diminished in age. Swirls of discoloration that makes one wonder, is this normal old pillow color or am I gross? But I looked at that pillow, faint stains and all, at what it meant and what it no longer means, about where its partner was. A different bed? The trash? Who knows? And why should I care? Why should it trouble me? It's just a cheap slab of memory foam covered in fabric after all, replaceable. But this pillow holds memories. It has witnessed a lot. It is a sentimental object. Once a comfort, a rest, a togetherness, something ours, has now frayed into something more haunting. A harsh gravestone marking what once was. And it was there, every time I lay my head down, every time I make the bed, there it is. I know where it came from and where it's been and where it now is. And it hurts. So I bought a new pillow. I think about the fiery scene from the 2019 horror movie Midsummer, which I don't recommend to kids, or even adults for that matter. The scene that culminates with a character dramatically destroying the memories of her relationship. As she stares wide-eyed at the inferno, a weird smile grows on her face as she seems both terrified and relieved. A sentimental object that caused pain, now vaporized and forever gone. I think about that and wonder how healthy that solution was and is, killing the things that remind us of the past. It almost feels like running away and never truly facing the problem, or ourselves. In my situation, has an object, like the pillow, overpowered me to such a degree that my only solution is to rid my world of it? Dramatically cathartic, maybe, but I fear I'm missing something. I fear I'm ignoring the real issue. Maybe I was too weak to deal with the trauma. A year ago, it was the pillow. Today, it's the coffee maker. I don't want to have to buy new things every time I feel emotional pain tap me on the shoulder. But I also don't want to be reminded of her every time I brew a pot of coffee. This is the dilemma of sentimental objects. So what am I supposed to do? Just carry on as if the pain doesn't haunt me? I'm human, and this hurts like nothing else. The darkness was heavy and smothering when she left. In those days, I watched my wife exponentially transform into something else. I remember inhaling the cold October air while listening to the percolating drops of the machine tap out their chaotic rhythm. What a brutal sound. I would drink that cup alone while she was off who knows where, but I do know where she was. One afternoon, I was sitting in a local Rotary Club meeting. I was the newcomer to town and a newcomer to this meeting, but I felt it was important to start making inroads with other business owners and possibly future friends. They seemed like an energetic, community-minded group. On this day, they seemed to be discussing a litter pickup event for the city. I say seemed to, because while I was there, I wasn't all there. I was bleary-eyed and unsteady. I felt like I had to willfully take each breath because my body had forgotten how. But I nodded at the right times and smiled at the right times, while my mind felt like it was buckling. Tunnel vision. They can probably tell something's wrong with me, I thought. So I straightened up and tried to look normal, professional even. But slowly drifting away again, my posture sank, and I returned to my phone, reading over and over the text exchanges between my wife and this other man. I don't need to describe what I found when I lifted up that rock. "He's a good guy, you'd really like him," she would go on to propose to me, her now unfamiliar voice sounding like tangled wind chimes, spinning in an otherworldly wind. I was just trying to hang on inside this whirlwind, and hoping my wife would heal and return. I tried to be gentle with her while she went down this road. It's the best I could do. I wonder if I could have been more bold. If there was ever a time for me to summon the boldness of black coffee, this was it. One of our neighbors came to me privately and said my desire to save the marriage was admirable, but she had, quote, made up her mind. It warped my mind to think about it. In many ways, I feel like I'm still recovering from that heavy lift. Like the undeniable soreness after leg day at the gym. It's all you can do to just stand up straight. I was worn down. These stories and feelings and so many more like them tend to bubble up when I look at that coffee maker. I want to get rid of it, but that feels weak. But what's the alternative? Just endure every morning? And to what end? So I can stoically maintain a kitchen appliance for a few more years? Well, that seems plainly unfair and cruel. It's just not worth it. The pain has overshadowed this machine's utility. And that was the answer I was looking for. The pain has overshadowed this object's utility. When the pain of a sentimental object outweighs its usefulness, it's okay to consider letting go. Now, this leaves a lot of room for interpretation and bad decisions, but it's the best we can do. The trick here is to not be too hasty. There's the temptation to turn a room over and tear through all your old photographs, memorabilia, anything potentially bothersome. But don't do this. Be patient. It's beneficial to not rush too quickly. And it's a very personal decision. Your threshold might be different than mine. When you have a relationship that's deep, over years of time and experience, the tapestry of yourselves weaves together into something new, making it impossible to cut all the connective cords lest you cut yourself. Deciding what threads to pull out takes maturity and discernment. Don't rush it. There are pieces of furniture I still own. There are shows that I still watch. There are cities I still visit. There are foods I still eat. Many of these are sentimental objects I shared with my wife. I enjoy these things still, and they are useful to me. yet all contain hints of grief. But for whatever reason, the streams of pain seem relatively shallow and slow, barely cutting into my day-to-day. And so these things remain and work and are part of me, and I carry on. I've reached the last few minutes with the coffee maker. I tested it, I cleaned it, but not much more ceremony than that. Our overlapping timelines have come to an end and will now part ways. Yes, it still works, it's still functional. I know these things. But like the pillow before, its functional utility is eclipsed by my emotional pain. This wasn't a hasty decision. I spent months considering. Maybe I'm justifying all this with the sloppy scaffolding of poor logic and pain avoidance, and that in time the discomfort will fade. But I don't think I have time for in time, while my heart is burnt every morning. Some objects store memories more powerfully than others, and this is one of them. Maybe I'm just tired of looking at it. And so I'm driving it to Goodwill, where hopefully someone else can look at it, and maybe brew a few cups with their beloved. Perhaps new roots, new sentiments will grow and take hold, and maybe their love, this time, will outlive the machine.